Hello, everyone. My name's Cole, and welcome to episode 10 of the Large Ship Carrier build. In today's video, I'm going to go over the change that I've made to the ship, as well as discuss the future of this build. Before we do that, though, I just first want to thank everyone who continues to watch these videos. We're actually close to hitting 100 subscribers, which to me, it's simply amazing. I started this channel mainly because my kids wanted to see my builds on YouTube, and the fact that close to 100 of you seem to also enjoy them, it means a lot to me. So thank you for your continued support. It's something that I really appreciate. Secondly, I want to address the reason why it's been about 9 weeks since the last video that I put out. At the beginning of 2019, I made it a goal to be a more consistent person. So that means more consistent in my decision making, more consistent in my exercise, and also I wanted to produce one YouTube video a week. It hasn't been the smoothest of rides. I haven't quite hit that goal in a way that I was hoping, but still better than what I've done on previous resolutions that I've made. So all in all, it's been an okay year in 2019. I mean, that is up until the last video that I released. It's This is something that I keep pretty private in my life, but I do suffer from a medical condition. It's called BDI syndrome, or big dumb idiot syndrome. Basically, my brain forgets how to do basic tasks like walking. I mean, obviously, I'm kidding, but at the beginning of August, I was out for a walk, and I ended up tripping, and I bulged a disc in my back. If that's something you've never done before, it's not something that I'd recommend that you go out and do. It's the most pain that I've ever been in my entire life. Luckily, though, I live in Canada, so getting treatment was actually pretty easy and quick, and I'm actually on the mend from that, and things were going pretty well. That is until about 2 weeks ago, where I, again, was walking to my car, forgot how to walk, and I ended up tripping off a step and twisting my ankle. I ended up with 2 torn ligaments in my foot, as well as a chipped bone I don't know if it's in my ankle or if in my foot, but I ended up with a chipped bone. So all in all, not so great of the past couple months. Again, I do luckily live in Canada, so it only actually cost me 35 Canadian rubles to get crutches for that. So I'm on the mend, but still not doing so great. So that brings us to today. We're back at the large ship carrier as you see it now. The ship is unfinished. There's only a small bit of decoration that needs to be done on the inside, as well as I still need to do the command block doors, as well as the elevators and transporters. However, this is going to be the last video for this ship, at least for a while. I just really need to move on to other projects, and I don't want to force completion of the ship. If I do end up forcing myself to finish working on the ship, it's not going to be up to the quality that I want, and it's just not something that I want to do. I want to produce something that I'm both proud of with the work that I've done, so I'm just going to take my time on finishing it. So I think in the future, if I am going to work on another large ship, one of this size, it's something that I'm going to live stream. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I just don't quite have the space or the equipment to get that done as it stands right now. So with that being said, let's dive in and I'll show you some of the work that I've done here. So on the outside of the ship, you can immediately see I've added in a bit more detail on the top of the ship. So starting with the cannons, in a previous video, I believe I reduced the cannons from 5 on each side down to 3. And then since then, I've changed out the backs of all the cannons. Instead of being the cyan or gray terracotta, I've now changed that to the red to match these little flares at the front of the ship. I've also added in these areas right here, and what these designs are, it's that carpet and glass trick. So if you put a piece of glass down and put a piece of carpet over top, it still allows daylight to pass through, and that just allows me to get daylight down into the main hangar bay of the ship. These little details right here, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with this design or if I'm going to go to something else. I'm probably still going to cover these up with carpet. I haven't fully decided. I know I need to do something because this little thing right here, this is part of the fuel distribution system that I built, and this needs to get covered up because it's sitting right on the glass. So that's that there. I also mentioned in a previous video that the rear end of the ship, where the thrusters are, didn't quite meet the scale of the ship, so I've ramped that up. So what I have here is, you'll notice this is a lot taller and a lot wider than it used to be, and I just used World Edit to essentially copy the top half and then just moved up a few blocks and pasted it, and that allowed me to very quickly and easily get this looking bigger. And so yeah, this is what the rear thrusters look like. I may change the details here on the inside, but this is what it looks like, at least for now. And then also back here, I've done the carpet and glass trick right here to get daylight down into the main reactor bay, or sorry, the main engineering of the ship. All right, so let's go inside. just teleport here. So not much has changed right here. We're in where the holodecks are. So this is the holodeck area 1. This is just one that has a pre-generated scene here on the inside. The other side over there is still just a blank, empty and open holodeck. What I've done right here is I haven't finished the elevators. I mentioned that's going to be done at another time. But I've added in a balcony here, which takes you into this room that I've done here. So we'll go... actually, we'll go here first. So main engineering, as far as changes that I've made in here, I mentioned that I want every part of the ship to be like a real factory or like a real warship. That not like in Star Trek or some of the other sci-fi ships where you go on the ship and everything is kind of happy and safe. I want this ship to give the impression that if you step in the wrong location and aren't paying attention, you could die. So what I have is these areas here painted. You'll often see these in factories and on ships, that these lines indicate that if you are on the wrong side of the line, you are in the danger zone. So that's what I have here all around this main reactor bay. You're in a danger zone if you're on this side. So that theme continues out over into this room as well. This room used to be the back part of the hangar, but because right immediately above here is the living quarters of the ship, I had no way of actually getting natural light down here, so it was impossible for me to light this area up, at least from the top down. So what I've done is I walled off the area, and then I created a fuel creation factory, a spot where they extract fuel, refine it, and use it for the ship. So the ship is fully self-contained. It can generate energy, it can generate fuel, and it would only ever need to stop for things like food or whatever, because this ship doesn't have replicators. So as I mentioned before, we have the hazard areas. There's a walkway that allows you to walk up through the reaction chamber off into the hangar, as well as around the back of the reaction chamber. So everything on this side of the line is safe, and then right in here is the danger zone. I'll walk you through the primary reactor area, the primary fuel creation from step 1. So over here we have 2 tanks, and on the inside of the tanks is seaweed. And the way that this ship works is it extracts 2 different enzymes of the seaweed in both of these tanks. It extracts them. It comes up out this tube and into this this first reaction chamber. This combines the two enzymes together into a gas and a liquid and shoots it up here through this pipe and then comes over here to this distillation chamber. So this is it's a 2-step process. So the first one is the most pure and refined chemical reaction, whatever it's called, the most pure and refined elements of the reaction, continue off through this pipe here and go into main engineering to the main reaction bay. I'll show you that in just a moment. The secondary results of the reaction fall down and go in here into these 2 primary reaction chambers. And this fuel is not as efficient. It's kind of what I guess you would consider like a dirty fuel, not as good, but because this large ship carrier, because it's such a large ship, it needs to have the purest fuel possible for its main reactor, whereas the ships that are out in Hangar Bay, they're more of a short range and they don't need the fuel to be as efficient. So we got 2 reactor chambers right here. Everything is distilled and equalized between the 2 tanks and then sent out through the fuel distribution system out into the main Hangar Bay along this line right here. Now, something to note here, there are redstone lamps that are on the sides, all around the sides of these reactor chambers. They do blink in a sequence. However, with World Edit, when you start adding in light changes, World Edit gets really, really framey, and I drop down to about 15 frames per second when that's running, when I'm running World Edit. When I'm in my no mods world, just plain vanilla, it works just fine, but I'm in World Edit right now, so it's not something that I can show you. Okay, so we'll head down now to the Hangar Bay, and I'll show you a few things here. So this is a safe zone right here, and then anything else out in the main Hangar Bay is a danger zone. Okay, so there's the main fuel system. I've added in lights up at the top to help light the top part of the ship. Even with all of the holes that I put in the ship to allow daylight to come through, it's still pretty dark in this area. So there's sea lanterns in all throughout this fuel distribution area, and then the fuel comes out through these tubes and goes down into the side to the main engine room on all of these ships here. Back over here, I filled this the whole area filled with these small little fighter ships, which I'll show you in just a second. But right back here, we have a lift, so a ship can be moved here onto the lift and lifted up so that it can be worked on without its landing gear being down. So if a landing gear was broken, or if they needed to modify one of its laser cannons, that can be done here on the lift. I'm still experimenting with the new blocks that were added into Minecraft 1.14. I don't really know how to get them into a futuristic build. It's something that I need to sit down and play with, but it's something that I am experimenting a bit with. I have no idea how to use any of these in survival. I pretty much play purely in creative mode. I do have a survival world that I play with my kids, but it's kind of a hybrid survival creative type thing with them. So I actually don't have any idea how to use these. I just thought they looked neat and kind of threw them in there. Over here is part storage, as well as a little area to work on individual components before they go in the ship. So these are the little fighter jets. They're just a little short-range fighter jets, so they can be used like kind of like our fighter ships that we have, or fighter jets, sorry, that we have here on Earth. So they're kind of short-range, not long-range bombers, like what these type things would be. Not necessarily that these would be bombers, but these are long-range ships. So these would be used to defend, like say the carrier was doing a planetary assault, and these were being transporting troops or something down to the surface. These ships would defend this ship as it goes down to the surface, or these ships would be used to defend the main carrier during an assault. Up over here, we got a few more pieces. We got a little mobile ladder. As you can see up here on the ship, the side hatch is open so you can access the engine. I like doing little things like this. So up over here, we have the cockpit open, so you can see that it's raised and elevated. And this little flap here looking at the engine is also raised and elevated as compared to what the ship would normally look like right here. So I like just throwing in those little bits of details. Yeah, just I just enjoy throwing that in on my ships. So this area here, it's 90 or 95% complete. I do want to throw a few more things up over in this area here and this area here, but all in all, this part of the ship is done with the exception of that main door. I may end up doing that one without doing the rest of the doors in the ship, just to show you what I was looking for. Like, so I'm a little bit excited for how I want this door to look, and I kind of want to show you that, but we'll see if that gets done or not. So yeah, that's actually no, we don't need to go through and check out what's going on in main engineering. So as I mentioned, the first part of the chemical reaction takes the fuel, and the pure fuel gets comes up over here and gets sent through this tube into main engineering, and eventually it makes itself into the reactor bay. Close this up. So it comes over here and is combined, and then goes into the top of the reactor bay right there. So all in all, with all of these changes that I've made to the ship, with these the danger lines down here, as well as this piping up here, it really fills out the area a lot better than I was expecting, and really gives the sense of danger to the ship, which I'm really happy about. So all in all, I think that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you like what you see. And again, I apologize for the long delay between this video and the last. But thanks for sticking with it. And I look forward to starting a new project with you next time. Thanks for watching.